Something that I have been kidding around my office about for a while is that we're going to have a show that includes, throat singing, and people kind of look at me. But are we ready with the clip? We've got a clip of Tuvan throat singing, and we're going to do this a little bit more later, but you got to listen to this. This is really good. There's lots of interesting things about this clip. Not only the music itself, and if we could keep the music just enough so that we can hear it. It's Tuvan, and that's not Mongolian, right?
It's the area just north of Mongolia, but in Russia now. So, but the style of throat singing varies a little bit, but you certainly get a good sense from this clip about what's going on.
But this was out in the middle of nowhere, basically having a concert. How'd that happen?
Well, it's not too surprising, I think, because, as sparsely populated as Mongolia is, it feels like you're somewhere all the time because there are, nevertheless, people nearby. So they set up, and people all over the country sing. I once was told, I needed to sing with somebody on stage, and I said, but I don't sing. And they couldn't believe me, so they dragged me up on stage, and of course I made a real fool of myself. But everyone sings there. Everyone sings. It's part of their lives.
Something else that's part of their lives is hunting and animals, and I just was shocked when you told me about this next picture. Let's go to these. Those are eagles. They hunt eagles, or it's the other way around?
It's the other way around. They hunt with eagles. It's a little like falconry, except that in Western Mongolia, they use these golden eagles, which are maybe 25 to 30 pounds, and they're trained to hunt. And you'll see maybe on those, on their heads, they have a little cap so that they don't fly all the time.
Trained eagles?
Trained eagles. And so they go out hunting with these, and the eagles can take down everything from rabbits to fox to wolves to elk. So they're enormously powerful creatures. And it's, again, a deep part of their tradition.
Well, forgive me for being incredibly American, but what do? Do they say, okay, eagle, go fetch?
They find the game, and they then see the game, whatever it is running along. They take the hood off of the eagle, and the eagle immediately takes after the game. Usually flies above it, maybe gets in front of it, and comes down upon it, and that's the end of the game.
Wow, amazing. We're going to take a very short break. We are very, very fortunate tonight to have with us Dwight Gee, who is the Executive Vice President of the Arts Fund here in Seattle. And he has developed a relationship in Mongolia. And through the World Affairs Council, the arts and culture of Mongolia is coming to us tonight. We are very, very honored to have Dwight with us, and especially learn about this very, very interesting culture. Go to world-affairs.org, learn more from the World Affairs Council. You're going to want to do that. We've been talking about the importance of animals. We've just kind of gotten into it, and animals are very, very important in the culture. If we could go to this next picture, because this is a very, very important animal. Here we are, one hump or two. Those look like two-humped camels.
These are two-humped camels, and you find them across much of the southern part of Mongolia. There are about 2.8 million of these camels, the two-humped camels in the world, a good share of them in Mongolia. There are even about 600 wild ones still in Mongolia, which are very unusual. They're used for carrying things. They're used for writing. They're used for the fiber, to make all kinds of materials from that. They're used for the milk, and they're used for the meat. So they're an integral part of the Mongolian lifestyle.
Well, they seem to be pretty up close and personal. Let's go to the next picture, because this was obviously
this
man's best
friend. This very
there.
inquisitive camel who wanted to come see what was happening at the Three Camels Lodge.
Something else that we have had in our American West was wild horses, and they actually have wild horses there in Mongolia. Amazing. And yaks.
The horses there are most astonishing. These, if you take a close look at it, would seem to you a little bit like the horses in the cave paintings. They're a very ancient kind of stock. Were nearly extinct, and just in a few zoos around the world, until they were repopulated to a reserve in Mongolia, where they've been doing quite well. Now they number into the hundreds, and these are called taki, in Mongolian, or the Przewalski horses.
Basically, they're wild.
And they're very wild horses. They're not tamed. They're not ridden. They're just amazing
They're just
animals.
out there.
Yes.
And the yaks?
Yaks are also a domestic animal, chiefly in Mongolia. They're a lot like cows in terms of their temperament, very calm, used for the milk, used for the wonderful fiber, the wool that they have, and for, again, meat. And milk.
Let's go back to horses, because a horse is a very, very important animal in the Mongolian culture. Specifically, this picture, a wooden saddle.
Mongolians were the most successful warriors, land warriors the world has ever known. Under Genghis Khan, they established the largest land empire in the world. One of the reasons that they were expert equestrians, and they used the smaller horses. These aren't so broad as American quarter horses. They could stand up in the stirrups, and probably also stand up because the saddles are wooden and they're very hard.
Let's actually go to the next picture, because we have a picture of some Mongolian horsemen in traditional dress.
They ride like they are part of the animal. And if everyone here and your viewers, if we were Mongolians in our professions, would also be expert equestrians, because that is just something you do as you grow up. You live very close, much closer to the land, you understand horses, and you've ridden all your life.
Well, you were even telling me about if you go on vacation in Mongolia, I mean, and you're Mongolian, you go to a place where you can ride horses.
To the countryside. And right now, all my colleagues are out in late summer there, and they simply go to the country, ride horses, and spend time in nature. That's right.
We're going to go to this next clip, and in this next clip, it is about animals as well, because this is people essentially emulating animals, and it is part of the art and culture. If we're ready, it is from the Mongolian School of Contortion. We're just going to continue to talk over this.
Yes.
Dwight, tell me about contortion being part of the art.
Well, contortion always makes me wince. Because these people, and they're mostly young people, can put their bodies into amazing and seemingly unnatural shapes. The origins of this go back a long, long ways. Mongolia is principally Buddhist, and the way this worked there was dances to scare away evil spirits, and contortion was part of that. But since it's come on as to be an art form rather than gymnastics, so it's again an integral part of the culture since then.
Well. And also we were talking about Cirque du Soleil.
Yes.
And Cirque du Soleil actually has someone there.
Cirque du Soleil has a number of contortionists from Mongolia, and they keep somebody there stationed full time to train and work with a scout for the Mongolian contortionists.
But tell me about the relationship between contortion and animals.
I think that you can see that there are certain similarities in terms of the form and the appearances that they're able to adopt there. So it's kind of a transmigration into the form of contortion there.
Well, we've talked about animals and the importance in culture. Then we've talked about how people emulate animals, but it's also a part of at least one of the religions that are there. Let's go to this next picture. Tell us what this is.
This is called an ovo. And there's, besides Buddhism, a strong background of shamanist religion in Mongolia. And there's shamanism is a worship of nature. And so my friends tell me that these ovos are placed wherever the spirit of the land, of the road, of the hill, they can sense where that spirit is. And so they drop a stone in a particular spot. And
so
then,
let me back up. So if you're a shamanist, you're walking along, and then all of a sudden you feel the spirit, and you just put a rock down?
Put a rock down, and then the next person comes along and recognizes this as an ovo, as a spiritual spot, and puts down another rock, goes around 3 times. And these piles build up over the months, over the years. And in addition to stones, they sometimes put down scraps of cloth or an old brake shoe or money, or it doesn't matter. But something to pay homage to the particular spot, the spirit of that place. And so you see these at important places all through Mongolia. And in Mongolia, you should understand, there are no fences. There are almost no roads. So it is open countryside.
Interesting. I take it that the American culture of wanting to advertise monuments probably wouldn't go over well.
Not so much, yes, that's right.
Let's go to the next picture, because this is part of the human side of the culture. And it is basically a dancing anyone. Are we going dancing in this costume? Tell us about this.
This is, there's a mask dance, again, part of the Buddhist religion. And the very ornate and elaborate masks and costumes all have different purposes: to scare away evil spirits, to attract good spirits, to put people in line with the world in a much better way.